So they're like, nope, we can't really accept you as a yoga teacher. I'm like, and then I started to self-doubt almost like, oh, am I really good at teaching yoga?
Oh, we've got lots of work to do.
The validation or the prove it again thing that I needed to do despite having such a, I guess, rich set of skills coming into Australia as a migrant. What does well-being mean to you?
Oh, you were telling us about your experience as a yoga instructor. Like you had the experience, then you had to do something when you got. Do you mind telling us again? Because we're just
Yeah,
having a chat on.
of course, yeah. Yeah, so when I moved to Australia as a yoga teacher, I had 900 hours of teacher training under my belt in and plus work experience as well. And it was one of the oldest traditional yoga schools in India. And when I moved here, I needed to have an accredited certificate, which was again international. So they're like, nope, we can't really accept you as a yoga teacher. I'm like, and then I started to self-doubt almost like, oh, am I really good at teaching yoga? And then I had to get a Cert 3 in fitness training, which was basically a piece of paper that said that I could tell people what to do with their bodies, even not knowing how to use gym equipment. But that's the kind of, I guess, the validation or the prove it again thing that I needed to do despite having such a, I guess, rich set of skills coming into Australia as a migrant.
Oh, we've got lots of work to do.
We do. But I want to ask you both, okay,
Oh,
what does well-being mean to you?
oh, that's a big question. Sandra, you go.
Okay. Um, there is a physical and a mental and an emotional aspect of it for me. I think I have focused in my life a lot too much on the physical. I'm not a very sporty person, so I focus on my lack of ability or my lack of enjoyment for certain activities. Having said that, I did yoga for quite a few years and loved it. COVID came along, something happened, and I have not gotten back on that horse, and I'm very cross at myself. So maybe this year. But it's also been, I guess, associated with nutrition and slimness, the body image thing.
Mm,
And so I'm probably heavier now. I am heavier now than I've ever been. And I find that plays on my mind mentally. So I'm not in a happy place mentally. So
yeah.
I'm not also in a happy place physically. And they're so interrelated. And it's just getting that motivation to get one of them in order, and I think the other follows. And it's a
Mm,
chicken and egg situation at the moment for me.
yeah.
Not living my best life. I'm eating too much and drinking too much and sitting around too much.
And if you don't mind me asking, where do you think the association or the correlation of being physically well and being slim, like you mentioned, where does that association come from?
My family,
Mm.
definitely. Both of my parents have this intolerance, should I say, about fat people. There's a really strong judgmental thing, especially with their daughters. My sister's very much
Yeah.
the same, and there's always been this, you can't get fat, and there's a judgment about people who are overweight,
Yeah.
and they'll be happy to comment on it. My mum, oh, you're getting fat, love. Have you looked at yourself?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Fat
I've had that all
phobia
of my life.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm so sorry. And fat
Oh,
phobia is still something that's so rampant. Like when we search or exercise or yoga for that matter, the only images that are spouted to us is skinny white people in
yeah.
swimsuits. And, for people who don't identify that, it can be quite deflating because there's an idea that is served in our head that is, again, so narrow-minded. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking.
Wow. Oh,
Um,
well-being.
what about you?
Yeah. For me, I find it's changed over the years. So before, when I was still back in Zimbabwe. That's where I grew up. When I was still in Zimbabwe, well-being for me was really physical activity, and I was very in touch with how active I was, how much I ran. I used to be a runner, so that was really the core of what my well-being was. When I moved to Australia, it changed, it shifted over the years, and the I didn't have the luxury of as much physical activity as I had in Zimbabwe, because in Zimbabwe I had my mom and my sister. We had help. You didn't need to worry about cleaning the house or doing laundry. So those were the sort of things that obviously when you move here, it's a little bit different.
Mm,
Now for me, just with everything that I've gone through in the last few years, well-being is when I've got balance in my life. So balance in my life is when I can sit down and be at peace in the moment and in the thing that I'm doing at that time, and
mm,
really enjoying, if I'm having a conversation with my daughter, if I am doing work for a client, if I'm working on a particular project, it's being in that moment and just enjoying it. That's how I define well-being now.
mm.
It used to be like how do I say it? I used to want to attain well-being, and that always left me really anxious and very dissatisfied with where I was.
Yeah, that unrealistic goal and expectation of what it
Yes.
should be.
Yeah.
Mm.
I want to be a
Yeah.
size 10.
And a follow-up question from that was, when was the last time that you felt rested?
Oh, oh, rested. It's been a while for me. It's been a while. I don't know. Do I even know what rest is?
I
Sandra,
don't
what
think
about
you
you?
do, Em. Em's always on the go. I probably have a little more time on my hands than I know what to do with at the moment, between jobs. And I've got a lot to do, but I feel because I have so much time, I'm actually not making really good use of it. So I am resting. I'm resting a lot. We just come out of COVID, so that's all we did was rest, rest, rest. Um,
Yeah, but that's good.
yeah, yeah, and that's what we've needed. And
Yeah.
even though you're sick with COVID for 2 weeks, it's been easily another 2 or 3 weeks that we've just, my husband and I, but between us, we've just gone, oh, I had a really good day yesterday. I felt really good, energized. Today I feel flat. And so
Mm.
we're giving ourselves, because we do have the time at the moment, giving ourselves time to rest and to just
Oh,
go, those chores will still be there. The grass will keep growing, and we'll
yeah,
get to it when we want to, when we can. So
that's
um,
amazing.
rest is. I'm feeling very rested. I'm feeling now restless, to be honest. Ready.
Mm,
The new year, I want to
that's
get
it.
back out there again. So
Yeah,
hopefully the next little while will get me there, get me where I want to go.
yeah.
Mm. How about you? Do you feel rested?
Look, it is kind of it's interesting, right? Like I talk about rest a lot and well-being a lot, but towards the end of last year, I kind of was stretching myself quite thin and felt burnout hit me like a truck. And I
Mm.
was feeling like an imposter because I'm like, I teach about well-being. How can I be burnt out? I shouldn't be this. And this was like again the expectation of the should. So I allowed myself to kind of, okay, acknowledge that, okay, this is getting a lot, and then giving myself permission to rest. And I talk about the types of rest as well. So, we've got like sleep, social rest, active rest, nature. It could be creative rest. So I really love just reading, like looking at the rain and just sitting with my dog on the couch. And that could be the best form of rest that my body could be asking for. Rest could also mean doing like a really gentle flow of yoga on the mat. So, really doing some gentle stretches. So, it really changes from time to time. But what I'm really looking forward to next month is I'm taking a little bit of a spiritual break. So, looking at some spiritual rest where I'm able to connect with my inner, yeah, spiritual well being. And I'm really excited about that.
Oh, that is
Can,
exciting.
Yeah, I've got a question for you because you work in this space. What would be your advice or your take to someone who or to people who find rest is really a waste of time, like it's
Mm,
it's not productive. So if I'm highly productive, I need to have an outcome for an activity I'm doing. And
yeah.
if I'm going to sit, so I can't even sit and watch TV because I don't
Mm,
understand the outcome to that. What would be like, what's your take on that, and what would be your advice to be more restful?
yeah. I would say firstly, you're not alone, including myself. We are living in this world which is hyper consumerist, and it's also
Mm.
a part of the ongoing colonization of our mind that takes place of
Oh.
this culture of productivity.
Mm.
One of the principles of colonization is the endless hustle, the always wanting more, whether it's productivity, whether it's our brain, our bodies, our resources. There's always the more. And there's this author called Tricia Hersey who's written a book. It's called Rest is Resistance. And that book is phenomenal. And the quotes that she has in that book are so inspiring, where it's almost like rest is rebellion against a society which is capitalistic, patriarchal in nature, and especially for women. Women are not allowed to rest without guilt. When you're a mom, when you're a parent, when you're a wife, when you're a daughter, if you take a nap, and there's often guilt, or like, oh, I slept too much, or I rested too much, or I ate too much. And there's something around that that is very problematic. And again, this is again not to blame, because it's who we are programmed to be, right? And the thing that is in our power is to challenge that inner narrative. It happens to me as well. If like I'm sitting on the couch, I'm often like double scrolling, so like watching the TV and the phone at the same time, because I feel like I should be doing something with my hands.
Mm.
So the
Yeah.
first step is be okay with doing nothing, and it's easier said than done. It is infuriating. You are going to have a very hard time. You will probably have a breakdown at some point. Better yet, if you take yourself out into nature, don't take your phone when you go out on a walk. As much as we want to try and have a podcast or music around us all the time, be okay with silence. Silence is such a useful tool in being okay with doing nothing. And it's a practice. I wish there was an overnight magic pill or an advice that I could give that would change things overnight, but it is hard, but it takes practice. But know that rest is rebellion, and we need to use that as a tool.
Very much so. And the point you made about always wanting to be connected, it's so true. And I pick my phone up to look at the weather or to check something, and then suddenly I'm still on the phone half an hour later, scrolling, and I still haven't done the thing that I went on there for in the first place. It's like
Yep,
you're so distracted, you lose focus,
yep,
you just waste. It's wasting your time. You're not
yep,
really wasting your own time, but it's just you're being drawn here, there, everywhere. Em made the
exactly.
point, and I don't know if you're still doing it, but how's the smartwatch going?
Oh, it's going really well. So
Oh, she's not wearing it. That's good.
I'm not wearing it. So what I realized last year in particular was that I get distracted very I wouldn't say distracted. I focus on so many things. So I could be having a discussion, like we're having a discussion now, and I get an alert on my phone and I quickly
Mm,
check it. And then there's the pressure to respond. So if I see a
yes.
text, I've got a pressure to respond. If I see that I need to increase my step intake, I've got the pressure to respond. And
Mm,
I just felt unnecessary. Like it was too much for me. So I
mm.
decided this year, no more smartwatch.
I love that. Yes, I started from this year putting my phone outside my bedroom, and my sleep
Oh,
has not been better. Otherwise, I used to wake up at
wow.
like 4 a.m. every day, but I've like started to put my phone outside the bedroom, and it's been a game changer. And like you were saying, Sandra, like it is after your attention and time. And there's an amazing book called Stolen Focus, which literally talks about how technology and social media is literally stealing our attention and focus. And as much as, what we can do in terms of, putting our phones away or getting rid of the smartwatch, everything around us is screaming for attention. And
Mm.
that is our most valuable currency, time and attention. And that's what everyone is after.
Very
That
true.
is, oh wow.
Mm.
When you say stolen focus, it's when I'm like, when I'm watching TV, it's the double, what did you call it?
Double screening.
Double screening, double screening. And it's this thing, and my daughter is always asking me to put my phone away, like, put your phone away, enjoy the movie. So I now have blocks of time that I don't look at my phone at all. Between a certain time and 2 hours at night, I'm not looking at my phone. I'm being
Yeah.
very intentionally present with the people around
Mm.
me, enjoying a meal, enjoying a conversation. But this whole, I want to understand, like, from both of you around, and we're jumping now straight to social media because you brought it up, and there's no way we cannot talk about social media. But this whole need for social media. What role does social media actually have in our
Mm.
lives?
My God, that needs another podcast.
True. Mm.
Sandra, do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, I do see it as an outlet, but is it a healthy one? I don't think so. My last couple of roles have had very, very strong social media content creation focuses or elements. And I was actually just describing it to a visitor that we've got staying with us at the moment, that I actually haven't really enjoyed doing that sort of work, because it's, as a business tool, I find it takes up so much of your creative time to come up with this stuff that then needs to be related to engagement. Then engagement needs to be related to sales or leads, and then it needs,
Mm.
and I can't most of the time see the value for that from a business perspective, but all businesses do it. And businesses that I've worked for have said we need to be there because our competitors are there. So it's like there's that need that's created there. And then on the other end of it, I pick up my phone because I'm bored and I just want to see what's going on, and I might have some couple of groups that I follow. I've been followed by the Dull Men's Club, and I've just got myself, and I'm not a dull man, but there's a same amount of women on the Dull Men's Club as there are men, apparently. And they just come up with all sorts of trivia. There's any number of groups that you might be interested in. But I had to jump off that because of the number of posts that are coming through
Mm.
day in, day out. And it's like, every now and again, I just want to be curious and find a joke and have a laugh. I don't want to be preached to. I don't want to have
Mm.
adverts. I don't want to be targeted because I've looked at one video and suddenly I've got 15 videos, and
Yeah.
Facebook and all of that. They know so much about me. I used to
Mm.
have two Jack Russells. Here's an example. I used to have two Jack Russell dogs. They were very elderly and we lost them a couple of years ago. But during the time that I had them, every other post had Jack Russells in. And I
Wow.
didn't go, I am actively seeking them, but
Yeah.
they were the
Yeah.
dogs that were presented on the cute dog videos. Now I have a English Bull Terrier. So all of my posts are about English Bull
That's
Terriers, just
wild.
because I've looked at, so we're being, I don't
Mm.
like to know that we're being manipulated, and it's very, very sophisticated stuff that's happening,
Yeah.
because when I was working in that sort of area myself, it was very, very tricky to work out who our audience is and how do we
Mm.
target for them. We were probably doing it on a shoestring versus these huge corporations, but there's
Yeah.
just so much behind it that makes me feel very uncomfortable, even when I'm working in it. But
Yeah.
that was too big an answer, but anyway.
No, that's such a good perspective, and you're
Yeah.
definitely not alone. And there's so many nuances, right? There is
Mm.
definitely the overconsumption and the literally pulling off that dopamine chemical. And the
Yeah.
book talks about it, like when you get a notification, it's the same feeling as winning something when you're gambling, like that
Wow.
casino
Mm.
token thing. So you get addicted to that. It's the short form video content which gives us instant gratification, whether it's making us evoke a certain kind of emotion, right? And also as a distraction of us not feeling what we actually need to feel, whether it is positive or negative. We use it as a way for numbing emotions and feeling our full spectrum of emotions. But on the other side, I do believe that it is also being used for connection, to make change on a global level, as we're seeing in today's time, and to really bring people together. For me, I know that LinkedIn has been a game changer for my career.
Mm,
Me being able to use the platform to, voice my opinion and make change and connect people even, has been incredible. So I think it really comes to using it as a tool, using it in moderation. I wish I could practice what I preach, but we'll get there hopefully. So yeah, look, but it's kind of like the unavoidable reality. It's only going to get
mm,
bigger and more ingrained. And
mm,
with AI, it's terrifying,
yeah.
but there's also hope.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And, on that note, this is definitely a conversation we need to have again. But before we conclude this, I will say, though, that what scares me, not scares, but concerns me the most about social media is the algorithm. So
Mm,
I will only see things that I agree with
yes.
on my feed. And
Yeah.
anything that I disagree with, I don't see. So in reality, when I then meet people that don't agree with me, there's no
Yeah.
space for a healthy debate because my perception is, but everyone agrees with me because
Mm,
that's all I see on social media. So, our note to everyone listening today, do put your phones down, go out into the world, have conversations with real people, have debates. It's okay to have different views. Good friendships and good collaborations are based on the heated exchange or debate. Keep it respectful, but do not keep the same circles as people that just say yes to your opinions. But
Absolutely,
thanks
that's so
again
important.
thank you for tuning into Conversations with Friends. We will see you next time.